Hi everybody, Mike Beer here with your DRF race of the day for Wednesday, May 20th, going down to Tampa Bay Downs, race number 8. It's an entry-level allowance, optional claimer for 3-year-olds. They're going to sprint 6 furlongs on the main track. Let's take a look at this field. They have 9 entered down there. You can see that the morning line favorite, number 6, Zano Boys, a really fast sprinter who was shipping back in from Oaklawn. They sent him down there to try a stakes race last month. He is back in town for this. He looks like he is the horse to beat. He's very fast early and likely to make the early lead. Second choice on the line, number 2, Tomato Bill. They listed him at 3-1. He's second off the layoff for trainer Christophe Clement. Top connections there for a horse who's got a lot of upside. We'll see if he can take a step forward in this race. Third choice, number 1, Silver Lee Enough. They have him pegged at 7-2 on the morning line. He is exiting a win in his last start with a new top buyer speed figure. He's a horse who's in good form. Probably going to have to improve to beat this field, but there are some things to like about that horse as well. Fourth choice on the line, number 8, Sky Mischief, who is switching from turf to dirt and turning back in this race. Another horse who probably has to take a step forward to win. We'll see if he's able to do that. Let's begin the analysis here by taking a look at the Timeform US pace projector for the race, because in a lot of ways, it's really hard to argue with it, and it is going to be the key to this affair, I do believe. Number 6, Zano Boys, they have him out there on a clear early lead, and they have it listed as a red bar situation, a fast pace anticipated for this. And both of those things really hard to argue with if you've ever seen Zano Boys run, because he is a very fast horse. He does not tend to take any prisoners early in his races. They just send him off to the front. And then they just let him go as fast as he can go in his races. It has been enough to get him 3 wins so far in his career. He's 3 for 8 lifetime. I did break his maiden in a turf sprint in his 3rd career start. Since then, they've mostly concentrated on dirt, and he's actually had some pretty good success on this surface, included among those races on the main track. One start here at Tampa prior to this, that last December in the inaugural stakes as a 2-year-old. And, Zano Boys just did what Zano Boys does. They sent him right to the lead in there. He went a fast pace in the inaugural, outran another horse who was trying to make the lead in there, and then never looked back. Wound up winning by 6 at the end, a solid 75 buyer speed figure. After that, they tried the Limehouse. He got involved in a fast and contestant pace and tired late. Back to Gulfstream Park on March 14th in a race similar to this one, non-winner 1, optional 75. Sharp speed in that race, right to the front. He didn't finish very strongly in there on his wrong lead, but he went a fast pace, never really let them into the race, won it clear at the end with a 78 buyer, and most recently, he's an Arkansas bred. They sent him down to Oaklawn Park for the Rainbow Stakes, and it was a tougher spot than this one. He once again broke running, cleared off on that field early, had a big lead at the top of the stretch, but you could tell he was tired, even though he was favored in there. He could not hold on at the end. The horse that ran him down and ultimately won the race, Man in the Can. He's 3 for 4 lifetime. He exited that race to run in another stakes race at Oaklawn Park, and he won that one as well with an 87 buyer. He seems like a pretty nice horse. Zano Boys, to me, he's just way the horse to beat here because he's supposed to make the front, and he just has the form to be really tough for this field to run down. We'll see how fast he has to go, and we'll see if anybody can just keep him in range and maybe make a race of this thing. Tomato Bill is the second choice on the morning line. He makes some sense in this race. He's a $500,000 yearling purchase by More Than Ready. He was a debut winner as a 2-year-old for trainer Christophe Clement. They debuted him at Delaware Park. I didn't think he met the strongest field in the world that day. He was heavily favored to win that race. He showed speed. He put away a rival as they came into the stretch, and he won off by 3 3/4 lengths. He was basically ridden out in that race. I didn't think it was much of a field, but listen, he did what he was supposed to do in there and won it relatively easily. His second career start was in the Sanford at Saratoga. Once again, he showed some speed after bumping at the start. He was on the lead in the stretch. He just couldn't hold on. He was only second best in there. I thought he ran okay in that race. Since then, a grade 3 on turf last October that didn't work out, and he's had 1 start so far this year off the layoff as a 3-year-old. That came over a sloppy track at Gulfstream Park. He was chasing the pace early in that spot. He never really had enough to be a major factor, couldn't really reach the pace setter to challenge. He got very tired in the stretch, but that's not to be unexpected. He caught a sloppy track. He was off the layoff in there. You can give him that race and hope that he takes a step forward here. Second off the layoff. Worth noting that the horse that ran second in that race, Double Crown, returned on Saturday at Gulfstream. He won the Roar Stakes. with an 82 Beyer speed figure. He looks like a really nice horse. So that wasn't an easy spot for Tomato Bill. I would expect him to run better in this race. Whether you want to take, a price like 3-1 on him is maybe a bit of a different story. Silverly enough, the number 1. He's the third choice on the line. I don't really have any knocks on him. I like his running style for this race because he's shown that he doesn't need the lead to be effective. He is exiting a win over at a Gulfstream last month on April 4th, where he just kept up sort of chasing the pace in that race, took it over. I liked the way that he dug in when the runner-up Maserati Man challenged him in the stretch. Maserati Man looked like he had the momentum and was going to go by, but Silverly enough was very game to deny that horse at the end. Maserati Man did come back to win his next start as well. I like this horse. I think it's worth noting that he's probably a little slow for this field. Maybe he has to take a small step forward, but he could get the right trip in here. Just wanted to point out that he has been listed as a vet scratch since that win on April 4th. They tried to get him back into the entries pretty quickly there on about a 2-week turnaround. He was scratched by the vet. He has had 3 works since then. Assuming everything is fine, I don't see why he's not, a contender in this race if he can just sort of avoid getting too far outrun early in the race. Zano Boys is the horse to beat. I would probably take him over the second and third choices in the race just because he does seem like a horse who's going to make the front in this spot and be really tough to run down. I just want to touch on one other horse in this race, and that's the horse I'm going to make my top pick in the race, number 8, Sky Mischief. He is going to have to improve, obviously, but that's what he's been doing. And basically all of his dirt starts, if you take out that sloppy track race 3 starts back, he's taken small steps forward in all of his fast starts over fast dirt in his career. Debuted at Hawthorne and finished second. He ran over this track in his 3-year-old debut back on January 18th. He was only second best in there, but he was second best to a Pletcher first-time starter. And that January 18th, it was a day where the main track at Tampa was extremely speed favoring. You really had to be right up there on the pace in order to be effective. And Sky Mischief was in behind, sort of chasing the leaders. He came wide to the stretch. He was making up ground on Dudley Square, the winner, but he just was never really catching him. I thought that was a pretty solid effort. His next start at Gulfstream, he caught a sloppy track. He chased a fast pace in there. The winner, Money Moves, was another Pletcher first-time starter. He exited that race to win his next start with a 90 Beyer speed figure. And then they came back to Tampa with this horse on April 1st. And listen, he didn't face, maybe the strongest field in the world. It's a little hard to tell because the second and third place finishers were both first-time starters. Who knows how good they are? The fourth place finisher in that race did come back to win his next start, however. Sky Mischief got a really good trip in that race. Always traveling well, in behind the leaders. He split horses off the quarter pole to take over. And I just liked the way he won. He was much the best in that race. They switched him to turf last time. Listen, he's probably not a turf horse. He didn't really do that much running in that race, but he also did not get a good trip at all. Trouble early, trouble on the second turn. Never really did that much running, but I didn't like the trip that he got at all. And he's probably not a turf horse anyway. Turf to dirt for this, turning back. Would I like to do a little bit better than the 5-1 morning line on him if I was going to bet him? Yes, I would like to do better. I think that's a possibility, though. And I think this horse has enough upside in a race where maybe he can take one more step forward here and be effective, at least to get a piece of this thing behind Zano Boys, who, I do think is the horse to beat. So my picks in the race, I'll put Sky Mischief, the 8, on top in here. I went 8, 6, 2, and 1 in your Wednesday race of the day. It's the 8th at Tampa Bay Downs, approximate post time 4:30 Eastern time. Good luck.